Good evening, everyone. My name is Angela Pilon. I am one of the 3 counselors here at the high school. I have the privilege of working alongside an amazing team. Um, we will be introducing lots of key stakeholders this evening, and most importantly, you're going to be able to hear from our student panel, which is always the highlight of our evening. We are so grateful to them for being here this evening, as well as we are so honored for them to be able to speak to all the wonderful things that they do. To start the evening off, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Alleman for a welcome.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Ms. Spallon. I want to welcome everybody to our 8th grade family night. It's obviously a bittersweet moment every time we hold one of these events, virtually especially, because there's nothing more we all want than to be in front of our fabulous extended school community, parents and students alike. So I want to thank you for attending tonight, and I'm happy that Ms. Spallon has made the effort to record this so that other people that aren't able to make it will be able to view this at a later time. Just an extended gratitude to the entire counseling team and the LBHS family for all the work that they've done in supporting our students in their high school experience, and you'll hear from some of them this evening. I also want to thank you as parents for supporting your students in the process of their secondary education experience. It's our goal at the high school to allow students to advocate and seek support from the adults that work with them on campus. We want them to experience self-advocacy and asserting themselves during their time at the high school. I know as a high school parent myself, I've got 2 junior students at this point in time and one that has graduated, that it has been a difficult and challenging time at times as a parent to take a step back and let students navigate problems, issues, and challenges themselves. But we really feel that on our campus that is an important skill set that the students will develop during their time in high school so that it helps them beyond. In addition to that, while we have a lot of unknowns on the horizon for us as it relates to next year, we are so hopeful that we will be as close to normal as we can as a Laguna Beach High School family related to how your student will experience their learning. And by that, I mean, I'm thinking and planning for our return to school in the 21-22 school year for our incoming freshmen to look at like a 5-day-a-week, every day of school, regular as what we know, a regular schedule. And you could talk to some students that have lived and navigated our schedule in the past before the pandemic. I kind of feel weird highlighting that as an issue because I think we all want some normalcy in our life, especially as it relates to how students are learning. And I look forward to the day that we get back to kind of a general routine. But we will continue to explore and adhere to guidelines, explore options for a safe and effective return for our students on our campus. And I can't thank you enough for your patience in helping us navigate all of these sometimes unknown elements of our future, but we will, our students are getting great course offerings. They're able to select many course options in their high school experience. We keep that alive, but we always encourage a healthy balance for our students so that, especially in those 9th and 10th grade years, so that they can maximize their potential in their 11th and 12th grade years. And our counseling team is really amazing at helping students see the big picture of that. So I hope that you will find that experience with our team here. I want to welcome you. And again, kudos and thanks to all our team members that you're going to be hearing from tonight. And a special thanks for our students taking time out of their busy schedule to share their perspective experience on the high school front. So thank you very much for that. Good evening and enjoy the presentations. Thank you, Ms. Pilon.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Dr. Alleman. As Dr. Alleman stated, we look forward to partnering with you over the next 4 years on behalf of your students. And within that process, we want to encourage them to challenge themselves to the best of their ability, but we are really looking for them to play to their strengths. And in doing so, selecting courses and programs that align with their areas of interest. But through all of that, we want to ensure that they are keeping a healthy balance, and that is the key to success. And with that, we are looking for them to ensure that they have playtime, downtime, and family time. As you will hear from some of our amazing student speakers that are part of our Challenge Success program, that has really enhanced their experience when they're able to do that. When our students are able to put in the time to do their best and they are not stretched so thin, then they are really able to shine. And that looks different for every student. For some students, they can handle a much fuller load than others. And for some students, they need more of that downtime and that balance in order to perform to the best of their ability. Whatever it is, we are asking students to not compare themselves to others, but to do their absolute personal best. And that's going to look different for every student. We just want them to come into our campus, to get involved, and to do their very best. Within the email communication that we've sent out, everyone should have received the following. There is a green registration form as well as a packet of flyers. It has lots of great information in there. If you have not received this, please be sure to check the parent squares that have been sent out. Thank you so much, Mr. Vidal, for sending that out on our behalf. Within registration, all freshmen are required to be enrolled in 6 classes. We have our updated course catalog, available online. You can get there by going to counseling and then academic planning, and then you're able to view our course catalog. This is going to be a great opportunity for students and parents to be able to see a nice course description and get an overview of the coursework in addition to the recommended preparation. In addition, we're hoping to be able to shed more light on that within this presentation for you tonight so that you can see firsthand, as close as we're able to do that, what it looks like within our classrooms for those particular courses. As we navigate the enrollment process, or the registration process, we have links for students to sign up for optional 10-minute counselor check-ins. Those will begin tomorrow and they will conclude on the 26th. Registration is officially open as of now, and in order to solidify their course registration, students need to submit their academic plans to their counselors for review, and I'll walk you through that process later on in this presentation. When selecting classes, freshmen are pre-populated in 5 classes, therefore core academic courses in addition to PE. Every student will be enrolled in an English class, a math course based upon where they fall within our math pathway, a science course, which will be Integrated Science 1, and we will have a video for you outlining our implementation of the NGSS standards to our curriculum. We're currently in year 1. Next year, we'll be in year 2 of that implementation. All students will be enrolled in a semester of Global Studies Success Academy. Kind of confusing that it's 2 names, but I'll talk about that in greater detail. It's our Global Studies course that we're infusing all of the great highlights that we were able to capture within our Success Academy course that we offered this year. And that was kind of our hybrid as we were looking for ways to be able to connect our students to our resources on campus that they wouldn't have been able to access in a virtual format. We wanted to ensure that those key stakeholders were able to come into the classroom to meet our students and to provide their services. And so we're going to be looking to do that again next year. So it'll be a semester of global studies in addition to health. All students will be enrolled in a PE or an equivalent in their freshman year. It will be PE when they first look at their pre-population, but Mr. Neal, our athletic director, will talk you through that process in this presentation of how a student would go about trying out for and meeting the clearance to go out for sports. Students are required, as I said, to be in a year of a PE or an equivalent in their freshman year, and that can include PE, sport, dance, cheer, or band, but they must do so for both semesters. So typically for our band students, that's going to be a semester of band and a semester of wind ensemble. More information will be forthcoming regarding the sports tryouts. Where we are looking to fill the gap with meeting with our students is to be able to identify what elective course they want to take. And electives can include both foreign languages, and on our campus, we offer Spanish, French, and Mandarin as foreign language options. in addition to fine arts and electives. Students are going to choose one for their elective choice, either a foreign language, fine art, or an elective. And I apologize, I forgot to mention at the beginning of this presentation that if you have questions throughout, we have our amazing team here that are available and ready to field the questions that you have. So please feel free at any point to pop those questions on into the chat and we'll be sure to answer them for you. When students are looking at their schedule for next school year, we want them, as we had stated, to challenge themselves to the best of their ability within their areas of interest and play to their strengths. If they know that they have an express interest in English, maybe they're going to want to, instead of an English 9 class, challenge themselves with an honors English. And we would encourage students to look at their schedule and balance. If they feel that they're up for the challenge, then we want to encourage them to step into that. But the expectation being that if they're in an honors or an AP class, that they're in the course for the full year. And prior to making that decision, you will want your student to have a chat with 4 people. They're going to want to talk to their current teachers regarding the expectation. You are going to want to encourage them, if they have access to a student who took the course, to get their perspective in terms of workload, time frame, structure, as well as the receiving teacher if they have any questions, and then to have a conversation with their parents or guardians in order to evaluate the time commitment. Within the paperwork, you will see that there was a breakdown of expected minutes or hours that a student would need to put in to be successful within a particular course. And so if a student is involved, for example, in a club sport and a high school sport, and they're involved in extracurriculars outside of that, they need to make sure that they have the time to be able to commit to doing their absolute best within that course. With our honors and AP classes, oftentimes there are summer work that is associated with enrollment in that course, and students are responsible for completing the summer work before school begins. If any waivers are needed, which I'll get into later in this presentation, students at TMS will need to connect with their TMS teachers to obtain those waivers. As I had stated, we are in year 1 of our implementation of the NGSS science within our pathway at LBHS. Next year, we'll move into year 2. All freshmen are enrolled in integrated science in their freshman year, and our current freshmen will be sophomores next year, and they'll be enrolled in integrated science too. We have a video that was created for you to get greater insight into our pathway. And one moment while that loads. I love the spinning wheel. I apologize. Hopefully it'll come up shortly. If we don't get it to load, not to worry. We'll be posting this presentation within our website, and everything is hyperlinked, so you'll be able to view it.
Ms. Pilon, can you hear the sound on your end? Mrs. Pilon, the sound isn't working.
I apologize. Mrs. Rose had just let me know that you're not able to hear my sound. Therefore, I will encourage you guys to go back and to watch the videos. Everything is hyperlinked for you. Please be sure to watch the fine arts video as well, because it's chock full of information. It gives great perspective in terms of the courses that we offer, but also you hear from our students in terms of what their experience was in the courses and how their involvement in those courses have impacted them in terms of how it's more than just the class. It's either creating a great family feel for them, or it has given them an opportunity to build skill sets outside of the course within the context of just the curriculum. Next up, in terms of course offerings, we want to ensure that students have full exposure to everything that we have to offer. So please watch the fine arts video. In addition to, there are great elective options that we offer on our campus. And we know that learning takes place outside of classroom walls, outside of Zoom rooms now in today's day and age. And when students are able to learn through hands-on experiential opportunities, that can greatly enhance their learning and support their success. And within CCA, there are opportunities for students in a multitude of areas. And I'd like to turn it over to Kelly Shearer to talk to you about CCA and the wonderful opportunities and programs and articulation agreements, as well as pathways that we have. In addition, you're going to be able to hear from one of our amazing students, Ashley Nobles, regarding her experience. So I'm going to turn it over to Kelly.
Hi, good evening. My name is Kelly Shearer. I'm the coordinator of career education for the district. And as Mrs. Pilon said, I'm going to talk to you about CTE and the value of CTE classes and helping you to become college and career ready. We offer CTE classes on the high school campus that are part of the Bell schedule. And then we also offer after school classes through our ROP, which is named College and Career Advantage, or what we call CCA for short. And these classes are available, as I said, after school. A couple of them are on the LBHS campus, and the remainder of them are at campuses in the Capistrano Unified School District. The first hyperlink there is to the website. So after you are able to see this presentation, you can click on that website and look at all of the different things that the College and Career Advantage does for our students at LBHS. And then the second hyperlink there that says CCA after Bell classes, you can take a look at the classes that are available to you next year to enroll in, and enrollment will be later this spring for those. Classes with CCA are available for 9th through 12th graders. A few of the classes do have a minimum age requirement, so you'll see mostly juniors and seniors in those classes, but there are lots of classes available to the incoming 9th graders. So I encourage you to take a look at that after Bell classes list. And I just listed some of the advantages to taking career education. It gives you an opportunity to explore different careers and majors. You get opportunities for internships, job shadowing. You can earn free college credit, yay, through articulation. Taking our high school class and you get free college credit. Weighted GPA, using these classes to meet your A to G requirements for college. And then the last hyperlink there is the CT pathway infographics. If you click on those, you'll be able to see all of the 7 pathways that we offer on the LBHS campus. And I'm going to let Ashley jump in now and share with you her wonderful experience in our CT classes.
Hey everyone, so my name is Ashley and it's wonderful meeting all of you guys virtually tonight. I'm a senior. And yeah, I just would like to talk about the amazing experience I had with this. So there's this narrative that can be often pushed onto high schoolers that you need to know exactly what you want to do and have that stress on you. And while sometimes that works for many people, they know what they want to be right when they're a little kid, that was not the case for me at all. So I'd always been pretty adventurous in the sense of trying new classes and electives, and I was able to figure out what my strengths and weaknesses were, but only to the degree where I was choosing what classes I wanted to take. And throughout my 4 years, I've been dipping my toe in many different electives and sports and classes, trying to explore all the possibilities and find what I like and maximize my experience here. So after my sophomore year, it was time to pick classes, and physics and anatomy were the options for juniors. And I knew that I did not want to take physics because I was horrible at math. And I was really eager to learn more about the human body and thought it would be more beneficial to take anatomy, which in hindsight it was. And I ended up really enjoying the class, and I loved the teacher and knew I wanted to explore more about the brains and humans in general. This segues into my second half of my junior year. In high school, I really recommend taking sports and fulfilling that experience and getting the most out of that whole scene. But I also believe that there needs to be a balance between enriching opportunities and sports. So I really wanted to make sure that I was getting a good balance. So the majority of my life had been about sports. I was doing swim team my whole life and cross country for a couple years, which took up quite a bit of time. And it was still a wonderful experience. But after my first semester of my junior year, I decided to fill my time with something else enriching and branch out and explore the opportunities my school offered. And I talked to my counselor, which is a wonderful resource for using to learn more about the options at the school. And we basically laid out all of my options together. And the first thing that caught my eye was the medical hospital careers ROP class. I never seen a class like this, and Ms. Brown quickly briefed it over for me, and I was immediately intrigued, especially because of the internship part of it. I felt it was so fitting for the period of time I was in, and taking anatomy and the two going hand in hand. It was a semester-long packed with lots of learning and hands-on experience. I recommend to any high schooler to do it because there aren't many opportunities like this. And what was so wonderful about this class was, even though I knew I didn't end up wanting to go directly into the medical field, I knew I had a passion for people, and the lessons I learned and experience I got is still super important, even if you aren't going into the medical field. For example, I got CPR certified, and I can use that for jobs and babysitting, hence my love for children. And I learned about vital signs, and now I can understand what they mean, and learned about my own body, and learned about the many, many careers in the medical field I would never have known about that I was possibly interested in. And my teacher, Miss Rachel, knew me pretty well and was able to assign me to a nursing home to be an activities director, which was the hands-on experience with people I was really itching to do, and getting the most out of the opportunity and explore that career option. However, unfortunately, due to coronavirus, I could not complete the internship, but it does segue into my senior year, and I decided to take MedCore and apply what I had already learned previously. And these class choices eventually led me to make the decision that even though my experience was cut short, I was able to take what I learned and decided to take a summer community online course. And it was also through the high school, and it was psychology, and it was also, and I ended up really liking it, and I was able to utilize that experience and background that I built up over the years through this Career Advantage class. And yeah, I ended up applying to colleges intended with a psych major, and I've been accepted to a couple, University of San Francisco and Oregon. And I'm waiting to hear from more, but as stressful as and scary as college looks to me right now, I feel at ease going into it, knowing more about myself and interests in what I like to do. And I'm really glad that I did this in high school. And a big piece of advice from me is that AP is not the only class option to get college experience and credit. And this internship was so unique, and it is the beginning of a college transcript. And CCA led me to the dual enrollment and the college credit guaranteed, that whereas an AP class, you still get the workload and kind of idea of what the college class would be like. But instead of you testing to get the credit, you're actually really guaranteed to get it. And I just think that's a wonderful thing for high schoolers to be able to do. And I was able to get so many certificates and just great lessons. And I learned outside of the textbook, and it led me to experiences outside of the classroom that I normally wouldn't be able to get. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Ashley. And on that note, we will segue on into information regarding dual enrollment. So that was a perfect segue for you, Kelly.
Yes, it was. Thank you, Ashley. As I mentioned, when we talked about CTE, you can earn free college credit through articulation. Well, this is another way that high school students can earn free college credit as well through our dual enrollment program. We partner with IVC through what's called a CCAP agreement to provide, sorry about my dogs, to provide college courses to our LBHS students, and we offer different classes each semester. This is our tentative schedule for next year. So this summer there will be a social psychology class. Will be really interesting. I think it really talks about the individual and the group and how we work or don't work very well together. In the fall, we'll have those two options there, a communications fundamental class or developmental psychology. This is a great class if you're thinking at all about maybe working with children, adolescents at some point in the future. This would be a great class. Then in the spring, intro to global issues. So kind of like a political science, how do the different countries and people's groups interact. And then we'll have history of rock and roll. And then all of these classes, you earn 3 college units, all completely free. We pay for the textbooks as well. All of these courses transfer to a Cal State or to a UC as a general education course. So it's a class that you don't have to take when you get to a CSU or a UC campus, and a lot of private and out-of-state schools as well take them. It's going to be set up as a hybrid model, meaning the classes will be online, but they will have one live online meeting, like i.e. via Zoom. Each week, they'll meet at a certain time on a certain day, and that information will be revealed later. We're still working out those days and times with IVC. And that bottom hyperlink is a flyer that gives you a lot more details about the classes, the content, and that information.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Now that we have gone over the basic information regarding the number of classes a student must take, and then the options for electives, which include foreign language. And once again, those could be within the subject matters of Spanish, French, or Mandarin. Electives would encourage you to watch the video after this presentation. Everything is available for your viewing. As well as I know that Kelly has shared out the out of bell schedule CCA courses for next fall, as well as additional opportunities that could be available to your student through dual enrollment. So after your student has looked at their schedule, kept balance in mind, had very honest conversations about where their strengths are, where they want to challenge themselves, maybe where they're wanting to maybe slow down and just kind of explore. We want to encourage that balance as they're looking at the schedule and not overextend themselves. We want their schedules to be reflective of their ability and not the fact that they have taken on a bit more than they can chew. And we know that's going to look different for every student. It's going to be time to log into Aries to complete your academic plan to begin the registration process. So students, you'll need to log into your Aries account. It needs to be the student Aries account. And you are going to click the down arrow to select your LBHS pre-enrolled students. So that will be LBHS, Laguna Beach High School, grade 8. From there, students are going to go to classes and then drop down to academic plan. Once you have followed these steps, you'll be able to see your pre-populated courses. So you'll see your 5 courses listed, so your 4 core courses plus your PE, knowing that everyone will be pre-populated for an English course, a math course based upon their pathway. That could be an algebra, geometry, accelerated geometry, honors algebra 2. All freshmen would be enrolled in integrated science. They'll have a semester of global studies. We'll be infusing some of those great assets from Success Academy within that course, in addition to a semester of health. And then everyone will be enrolled in PE until sports tryouts have concluded and rosters have been provided by the athletic department to counselors to make those changes, and or a student connected with Ms. Fratsky regarding the dance pathway, or connected with Mr. Chung regarding our music program. So lots of different options to fulfill that requirement, but no matter what direction you go, freshmen are required to be in a year of a PE. So that would be 2 semesters. From there, they're going to be adding in their elective. Students are going to select the subject matter. Then they're going to come over here. So for this example, it's foreign language. Student has selected to take a foreign language as their elective. They were in French 1 this year with Madam Beckley, and they're looking to move into French 2 next year. For grade level, it is going to be grade 9. And for term, the greater majority of our courses are going to be year-long in duration. There are a couple of anomalies, and that would be marching band and wind ensemble for PE. But outside of that, our fine arts, foreign languages, and electives are year-long in duration. And then they are going to place the course. With regard to scheduling, everything is always contingent upon staffing and numbers. So if we have students who are requesting it and staff that are willing to teach a 0 period, we'd love to be able to offer it with that balance in mind. So if a student is interested in requesting a 0 period, they are going to go to follow that same process. For a subject, that can be all. For the course title, it will be 0 period, or you can type in A999. Grade level is going to be 9. Term is going to be year-long in duration, and then they're going to place that course within their academic plan. An example for you of what a student's academic plan would look like for a student who is additionally requesting a 0 period. As we had stated earlier, that we know that everyone has strengths in different areas. If a student is wanting to challenge themselves within the area of English or within a math class, they're going to want to, and they're wanting to take on that honors challenge with regard to rigor, and they have the time to be able to effectively do so in terms of putting in the work needed to warrant success in that class. We're going to ask them to make that change within their academic plan. They're going to hover over the class they want to delete, and then they are going to click on the trash can. And then from there, they're going to follow the same process of adding in that honors English 9 course, or it could be they're wanting to try accelerated geometry or honors algebra 2. When they are done, they are going to submit their plan, and that's going to send a message to the counselor. And from there, we will go through and review those academic plans to make sure that students have the correct number of courses and that everything looks good. Keeping in mind that we want to create as many opportunities as possible to connect with you, as we typically get to go up to Thurston and we pull you into the library, and we go up there with ASB and we have a great day of meeting with you, briefly checking in for a couple of minutes to review your plans, and at least to connect a name with a face. We want to create that same opportunity, and we have links that we've shared out where our students can sign up for 10-minute check-ins with their counselor, and that would be a great opportunity for you to ask any questions that you may have, to review your plan, and just to put a name to a face and have the opportunity to chat with us, and we can welcome you to the high school and point you in the right direction if you have any further questions. For the non-TMS students, they're going to begin downloading registration packets beginning March 26th. All enrollment documentation needs to be complete and compiled before submitting. You're going to upload all the documents through the portal. So everything needs to be completed in entirety, and then you are going to upload through the documents feature, the upload documents feature. You are going to email your enrollment documentation to LBHS at enroll.lbhs@lbusd.org. And everything needs to be done prior to a counseling appointment being scheduled. For out-of-district students, you're going to want to consult with your teachers regarding recommendation for placement based upon our pathways. And then our staff will be notifying you when we will have that check-in with you to finalize your plans. As I had stated earlier, for some of our honors and AP classes, there are summer assignments. We know that these are going to be required for accelerated geometry, honors algebra 2, and honors Spanish 2. Please reference back to our website in June when that information becomes available and updated for next fall. And you can get there by going under the academics plan and then linking to summer assignments. With regard to community service, in addition to completing the 230 credits needed to meet graduation requirements, we also have a community service requirement, and it's 40 hours in order to meet grad requirements. We recommend that students work on completing 10 hours per year. Community service hours must be done through a nonprofit organization and cannot be signed off by parents. Sandy Jones is the one who oversees community service on our campus. Students can begin completing their community service hours June 11th. So once they are done with 8th grade, anything they do after the summer of the 8th grade can be applied towards their high school requirement. And Mrs. Jones' information is available below for your reference. Getting involved. Back to the fun stuff. Got through the dry stuff. Lots of opportunities to get involved. We have clubs, we have different activities, athletics, performing arts can be a great way for students to do that. And we want to encourage our students to find ways to get involved in things that speak to them or explore things that they're interested in. We have a club roundup that takes place every fall. It takes place the last week of September. We got a great update from our activities director, and it was so refreshing to hear about all the ways that our clubs are staying active in this virtual world. And we are looking forward to being back on campus. And we want to be able to find ways to be able to connect our students to their areas of interest. Like I had said, if there is not a club that we have that you're interested in and you want to start your own, by all means, we encourage you to do so. And just working through that charter process, with our activities office, they can help you to get that club on campus, and you can start recruiting your friends. And if you have a desire, we're here to support you into achieving that goal. In addition to our activities office, right next door, when you guys are back on campus, you're going to find a room full of windows in the middle of our library, and in there will be two of the most lovely women you will ever have the opportunity to meet with. As some of you may have older siblings, you will know that Mrs. Bergen retired just this last month, and coming in will be Mrs. Gregory. She was formerly with us, and she is back with us after a little tenure overseas, and we are elated to have her in conjunction with the amazing Mrs. Angela Shipp. And right now, I'd love to turn over to Mrs. Shipp so she can talk to you about everything the College and Career Center has to offer. We are the left hand, they are the right hand. So this is College and Career Center. We work in collaboration with one another. And so it's my honor and privilege to turn it over to Mrs. Shipp.
Thank you, Mrs. Pilon. And I like to think that we are part of the fun stuff too in the College and Career Center. And as Mrs. Pilon mentioned, I work alongside Lynn Gregory, and she is our College and Career Specialist. And I am the Scholarship and Financial Aid Specialist. And I just quickly want to highlight a few of the ways that we support your students. We are lucky to have that office right there in the library. We are very visible, and we are very open to all of the students, and we are always happy to have people coming through. Students flow right through. So it's a really fun environment in the College and Career Center. So don't wait to come and get to know us and meet us as freshmen, because it's never too soon. But some of the ways that we are fortunate to support you there are in college advisement and research. So we're helping students generate their college lists. We're also helping students execute applications when those times come. We also have college rep visits. So in the fall, we host actual college admissions representatives into our office, and your students have the opportunity to meet with them in our office and get that face-to-face contact and get their questions answered. We provide testing information for the SAT and the ACT. We offer career advisement. Also, work permits and job postings. So for those students who are working in town and you need your work permits, you can come to us and we can help process that. And we can also direct you to places that are interviewing in town that are in contact with the school. We also help you with resume building and interview skills. And we have career technical education, the CTE information that they were talking about sooner, and how to sign up for that. We also do the CCA class registration, military recruitment information, and last but not least, scholarship and financial aid. And that really kicks in a lot more during your senior year. And just one last thing I'll mention is we have something called the Laguna Beach High School Scholarship Foundation. You may have already heard about it, seen it. And it culminates with a night called Honors Convocation, and it's our LBHS seniors have an exclusive opportunity to apply for those scholarships. So I look forward to getting to know everybody and helping you out in the College and Career Center. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And now on to what everyone's been waiting for, hearing from our amazing student panel. So here to talk about ASB and the programs and services and great opportunities that they create on campus, the great culture they create on our campus, I'd like to turn it over to our ASB president, Miss Izzy Saunders.
Hi guys, I'm Izzy Saunders. I'm a senior this year, and I'm going to first take you a little bit through my journey through LBHS. So in 9th grade, I came to LBHS from a private part-time homeschool program that was kindergarten through 8th grade. So I've always lived in Laguna and I knew a couple of people, but I walked in the school not previously being involved in any affiliated activities with the district. I danced at Kind Dance Academy down the road, so I auditioned and placed in Dance 2 in the dance program here. And I had been a part of the Laguna Playhouse Conservatory program since I was 10, and I was excited to get involved in some shows at LBHS as well. So I did the musical All Shook Up my freshman year. And one thing, my freshman year, I did not take any honors classes. I wasn't really sure what I was good at yet, but all I knew is that I always found myself being the one to lead up group projects, volunteering classes, dance, theater, everything and anything that was going on in the high school, I wanted to be some part of. And this leads me to 10th grade. So I wanted to be in ASB leadership class that year, but I didn't have room in my schedule. So I still found ways outside to lead in different areas. And I moved on to Dance 3 that year and choreographed a piece for our winter dance concert and did another show with the drama program. And I found out that year that I loved math and Spanish. So I excelled and took honors level courses in just those subjects. And then in 11th grade, I could finally submit my application to ASB because I had room in my schedule, and I did decoration and artistry, and I absolutely loved being a part of the leadership team. I auditioned for the dance company this year and made it, and I took part in the first year of authentic exploratory research. My question involved marketing in fashion companies, and I absolutely loved doing that. That was an amazing experience. And then my junior year this year, I took more AP and honors classes just as I warmed up to it. And then at the end of the year, I ran for ASB president and I won. And then so this year, I'm taking more AP and honors classes just in the places that I feel comfortable and I've kind of warmed up to it. And in ASB, we're still connecting with students through things like virtual pep rallies, birthday shout outs, and Clash of Classes competitions. And I'm also doing Dance Co again this year. And in the end, I'm really happy with all the classes that I ended up taking because it's all about building off of your interests. Then you can kind of balance your schedule on what's best for you. And I'm not really sure where I want to go to college yet, but I have gotten into SMU, TCU, University of Wisconsin-Madison, and Indiana so far, so we'll see where I end up. I plan on majoring in marketing and minoring in fashion design. And I'm so grateful for all the opportunities that I've been given here, and I can't wait to see what the next class of LBHS accomplishes in their future. So just going into a little bit more detail about ASB, it's the Leadership Student Government program here. We're students who strive to make LBHS a wonderful place, and it consists of elected ASB cabinet members and commissioners accepted through an interview process held by our lovely teachers, Mrs. Lundblad and Mr. Finn. One of the events that ASB holds is freshman orientation. So this will happen during the fall before your first day of school. It is also the same time as the freshman parent orientation. And it will give you a tour of the school, do some small group activities, and allow you to meet a bunch of new people. It's really fun. And by the end of the day, you'll be fully prepared to start your first year at LBHS. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Izzy. Next up, we have a video that I'd like you to watch at your discretion. But to talk about our Challenge Success club that we have on our campus and what Challenge Success and what success means to these students, I would love to, oh, I apologize, let me stop this and go to the next slide. I'd love to turn it over to George Saba and to Luke Tebow.
Hello, everyone. My name is George Saba, and I'm a junior at LBHS. I'm very honored to get to talk to you all about challenge success. I'd like to start things off by talking about my early years of high school and even my late middle school years. I tried out a lot of different activities. I played football, lacrosse, I did journalism and destination imagination. And while I had a ton of fun in each of those activities, I found that they didn't quite follow the path that I later decided I wanted to go down. And I didn't feel a deep enough connection with those activities, so I decided to move on from them. Now I'm in a variety of programs such as MUN, which you'll hear about later, Challenge Success, and most recently golf, all of which I absolutely love. Before I begin talking about Challenge Success Club, I'd like to first give some advice to the incoming freshmen. Try out as many activities as you can during your freshman year and see what you seriously enjoy, because that's your year to experiment with the multitude of programs that we offer at LBHS. And I don't regret trying anything that I did. With that said, one of the programs I decided to put forward a lot of my effort is Challenge Success. At Challenge Success, we believe that our society has become too focused on grades, test scores, and performance, leaving little time for students to develop the necessary skills to become resilient, ethical, and motivated learners. Challenge Success partners with schools, families, and communities to embrace a broad definition of success and to implement research-based strategies that promote student well-being and engagement with learning. Our club is built on the moral, challenge success is measured over the course of a lifetime, not at the end of a semester. This is something that we wholeheartedly believe in. My first experience with Challenge Success was a webinar panel with myself, 3 other students, and over 20 teachers throughout the whole school district. This was a great opportunity, and it really opened my eyes as to how much Challenge Success helps build connections between students and teachers. What we did was we went through a list of questions that teachers had, and we answered them. The questions were mostly about our own experiences with teachers and how teachers can connect more with students. Because at the end of the day, building connections is the ultimate goal of school. Some of the questions we answered included, what do you think has gone well with distance learning? And how can teachers connect more with their students? This is just one example of how Challenge Success allows for students and teachers to connect with one another. Remember to balance yourself and focus on yourself, not what others are doing. I found myself being the most successful person when I did things that I enjoyed. The greatest measure of success isn't taking as many AP classes as possible. It's doing things that you believe will make you a better person. Whether that's taking 6 AP classes or none at all, strive to be the best person you can be by honoring your own strengths and weaknesses. Now I'll hand it off to the president of Challenge Success Club, Soren Teeple.
Thanks, George.
Thank you, George. Hello, everyone. Good evening. So I am Soren Teeple, as you may have seen from board meetings and the million other things that I'm also have my hands in. So as George said, Challenge Success Club it's what it is it's a place where we partner with organizations like ASB, and we partner with people like the wonderful Mrs. Aronson, who's the student support specialist, to help students. As George said, at Challenge Success, we work to redefine success. We don't work to make school less challenging. In fact, we want school to be more challenging. We want students to be more challenged in their own individual selves. So some of the ways that we have done this and implemented this belief system of challenging students based on a healthy schedule, based on their own strengths and weaknesses, is through stuff like with speakers and presentations with PTA. So I believe it's called Coffee Talk, where we've had Challenge Success speakers come in and to encourage parents and as well as students to kind of follow this Challenge Success thought process, as well as teacher development. So professional teacher development, which is actually how George got involved. And in that, we had this amazing place and community aspect where teachers and students could have an honest conversation about what was working with online learning, what wasn't working. And that got students and teachers involved in our amazing program. And we've also done a multitude of other programs. And I'd say that with the biggest influence you can see in Challenge Success isn't necessarily the stuff that's been labeled Challenge Success. It's the small decisions that we have made as a school and community to help our students. For example, pushing back the start time so that students could get more sleep, that was motivated by what Challenge Success had taught us, as well as different programs. And so Challenge Success has become a major part of our school learning community, and we hope to continue this on to keep challenging students. So what is the club really? So the club is a place to help students. We talk about important issues, we raise student voice and stakeholder awareness, and we offer a helping hand to students in person or on social media. For example, we recently had a student parent and teacher fishbowl where everyone came together to talk about the important issues to them, as well as a mentorship initiative that started this year where teachers and students can form meaningful connections to help both parties moving forward into the future. So bringing all that back to who I am. So I am, I'd say, a very busy person here, but I do it healthily, I promise. So how really where I got off to doing all the million things I did was when in my sophomore year, where I decided to be myself. And obviously it wasn't that simple. It wasn't that great of like a little like movie golden moment with all that great music. But it was after a multitude of steps and events where I realized that I wasn't being true to myself. And what I did was I ended up quitting water polo, quitting swim team, and really focusing on finding who do I want to be, and not necessarily like, oh, this is who I want to be. Let's be here. Let's be stable here. But who do I want to be? Who do I want to become? And that's what led me to Challenge Success. That's what led me to the million other programs I do, like which I'll talk about in a little bit. But when I quit water polo to become authentic to myself, to focus on my future, and what I was able to do is kind of help create a positive change around me. So, as you may have noticed, I'm also the student representative of the board, where I seek to use the Challenge Success principles to raise student voice. Johanna Legault and I have met with students at Thurston. We've met with students at Top of the World to hear their thoughts on the important issues like school reopening. How are we teaching stuff like our racial equality workshops, and that we will be implementing to help our school. And there's a multitude of things that I've done using Challenge Success philosophies to help our school become better. So I've also, the mentorship initiative is kind of the biggest Challenge Success thing that I've done, and I hope to continue that onwards, even after I'm gone. And I encourage any students here, any parents that don't have students here, to encourage students to join that. For some, it's a place to learn about their teachers. For others, it's a place to learn about their passions. And just to end this off, I think that we live in a time where rapid evolution is the absolute norm. And for young people to be successful in any and all industries, on any and all planets, or who knows, satellites, virtual and real, education must foster the creativity and ingenuity that Challenge Success postulates. And that demands authenticity in all areas of an individual's upbringing, from school to home to social life to education. And that's what Challenge Success hopes to do, is create an authentic learning environment that doesn't make school easier, makes school harder for students, but it pushes them to become better, better themselves, to find their own strengths and weaknesses, to walk out on that tightrope of life, and to be able to handle everything that comes their way, whether that's a pandemic or a difficult class. And that's what Challenge Success seeks to do. And I encourage your students to join our club to help us make the school a better place, and just to listen to the stuff that we say, listen to programs and stuff that we announce, that we put out there, so you can help us make this school a better place. Thank you.
Thank you, my friend. To talk about MUN, we are going to bring to the screen Miss Alessi, in addition to one more go around with our friend Luke. Is Alessi having mute issues?
No, I just thought Soren was going first, but I will go first, no problem. Hello, everybody. My name is Alessi Avaz, and I am also a senior at Laguna Beach High School. I'm a humanities major in most likely political science, and I'm hoping to attend a UC University, but I haven't heard back from any universities yet. As Soren or Luke mentioned, he didn't mention, but I am the second Secretary General of our Model United Nations class for this year. I started the MUN program in 8th grade at Thurston Middle School, and I struggled through my first MUN conferences with lots of tears, but I slowly gained confidence from just being exposed to giving speeches often and learning what it meant to represent a country. MUN has taken up a large part of my high school experience and who I am as a person today, and I have many favorite memories. I led a Harry Potter committee at our own conference my sophomore year. I became a member of the LBHS MUN Secretariat, or Congress of sorts, by being one of 3 student coordinators for the Thurston MUN Club, and I was chosen alongside Soren to be one of 2 2020-2021 Secretaries General, or leaders of a sort, of our MUN class. Along the lines of our class's purpose to inspire global citizens and to promote activism in our own communities, I was grateful to become our school's representative to Congressman Harley Ruda's 48th Congressional District Youth Advisory Council my junior year, which was comprised of representatives from schools all around Orange County. I would never have been able to be as inspired and so willing to undertake a task so large without the knowledge and the pure confidence that I gained from MUN. In other words, MUN changed both my career goals and my life. Unlike any other class that I've ever been in, Model United Nations has been one of the most fulfilling. Every Tuesday night, I am beyond excited to see the fresh perspectives of high school students on topics ranging from what's new in politics to how to speak formally. Weekly, we teach the class what it means to be a delegate, how to essentially do MUN, and the importance of acting with purposeful change. Outside of weekly meetings, our class goes to a variety of MUN conferences every year, from college conferences like Bruin-Munn at UCLA, to other high school conferences, to even travel conferences outside of the state, like Chicago and Boston and many other exciting college conferences. Along with the canceled travel trip this year, unfortunately, many other things have changed within our class with the impact of the pandemic, but we still meet over Zoom every Tuesday evening, and as opposed to in person in the LBHS library, but we still have the same meaningful discussions as always. Soren and I are both very grateful for the opportunity to be the Secretaries General for our MUN class this year, and we hope to inspire many new delegates into joining our completely student-run program. Thank you, and we hope you join LBHS MUN.
Thank you, Leslie. Hey, I'm back. So MUN is, I'd say it's part of the purpose of MUN is we have in our charter, which has been made by our advisor, wonderful advisor, Mr. Shen, and kind of added to by students, is to create politically literate and purposeful change. And that purpose rings so true to me, and I'm sure to so many students in the audience, because there are so many things that we can do in school. There's so many pathways we can take, but so many people want to create educated change, and that's the path that MUN offers. So how I like to describe MUN is a student-led trampoline held up by the talented and wise Mr. Shen and Mr. Todd. So MUN is, I'm sorry to say this, but MUN is the most student-led organization on campus. We have a cabinet of sorts that runs every class session we do. Of course, we consult with Mr. Shen, Mr. Todd on big decisions, but MUN empowers young people to take charge of their education. We have activities like Alessia was talking about. They're led by students. They're taught by students. And I'm telling you, you don't really know something until you have to teach it. And MUN offers that opportunity for young people. So we combine our powerful purpose with incredible students in leadership roles, ranging from our cabinet positions to just being a leader in the conferences we go to and taking charge of a room full of strangers. We have the Multicultural Festival, which offers a good way to burst the metaphorical bubble that we have and cast a light on cultures that we don't get to see in Laguna Beach, as well as Maasai. So Maasai is a foundation that began in 2012 to help the Maasai people in the Olulaiamuti village in Kenya. And we've raised lots of money. We've done different projects to help them. For example, we did a virtual sort of fundraising event in December where we raised almost $1,500. And last school year, we raised a similar amount. But what really matters is not the money amount, but it's what the money is spent for. And we ensure that money is spent on sustainable solutions to real problems that they face. So MUN is an awesome community, really. And I'd say it's one of the most diverse places of thought in our entire school. And in that place, it's a very safe place for ideas. It's a safe place for people to find themselves, as I was lucky enough to do. And we've become a family. So we've become so much of a family that we're able to go on travel trips to, as Leslie said, Chicago, Boston, New York, Washington, D.C. And in those travel trips, we go to some museums. We do all sorts of fun activities. In Chicago, went to a basketball game where Mr. Shen recreated a statue of Michael Jordan, which was very cool. And we do so much in MUN, and we do and there are places for everyone, from teaching lessons to working on game theory, so you design committees, to volunteering to help raise funds for the Messiah program and other activism issues, or debating so you perfect your argumentative skills in conferences, or even constitutional law, so you work on the charter committee. And of course, surrounding and encompassing all that is a burning curiosity and a desire to learn, which I promise will be fulfilled in awesome discussions on everything from politics, history, hot dogs versus hamburgers, artificial intelligence, and so much more. In MUN, I was really able to explore and find all my passions in it to become I consider myself a pretty good leader, and I think MUN has helped me become that. And together with Lexi and I have done an amazing job despite all the challenges. And as she said, we wouldn't be able to do the things we do if it wasn't for MUN that taught us self-efficacy, that taught us our own empowerment to help our peers, to help ourselves become better leaders, to become global citizens. And that's what MUN has done. And so for my future plans, I hope to take a year abroad before going to college to better understand the world and, use the stuff that MUN has taught me. So, as amazing as this beautiful bubble is, I want to get outside and see the real world. And so hopefully I'd be able to go to India or Africa and or Asia. And then after that, I want to study the patterns of society in the areas of, history, econ, psychology, and philosophy, hopefully at UChicago, which I hear back from on this Friday. So fingers crossed. Thank you, everyone. And I hope you join MUN. I believe on the next slide, we have little, the new revamped, after the video, we have a little revamped application process. That's different this year because of COVID, but is still as rigorous as we want it to be. So we accept all the students, but make sure that students really want to be a part of MUN. MUN is not a place for students to be because their parents want them. It's a place for students to be who want to create politically literate and positive change. Thank you.
Thank you, my friend. If I can get my screen to cooperate with me, I'm going to bypass the presentation so parents and students can watch it at their discretion and get on to the next slide. Aha, success. The requirements or the eligibility process. Students are eligible to enroll as 9th graders if they meet the following requirements. There's an application, it's hyperlinked within the presentation. And then parents will email Shen and Todd letters of support. And then students will interview with the instructors, and contact information is provided within this slide as in addition to on our website for Mr. Shen and Mr. Todd, if your student is interested in going out for MUN. Next up, we have Carly Rohr and Madix to speak to you regarding journalism.
Hi, I'm Carly Rohr. I'm a junior, and I'm editor-in-chief of the Russian Pilot, which is the school newspaper run in a class of journalism. Along with journalism, I participate in National Honor Society. I'm secretary of the Strength in Numbers Club, and I'm a part of the water polo and swim team. As an extremely shy person, joining this class was the best decision I've ever made. Journalism pushed me out of my comfort zone by making me conduct interviews and talk to people I would never usually talk to. My 8th grade self would have never imagined me being able to walk up to adults and feel comfortable talking to them. This class has been the most influential out of all the classes I have taken in my entire high school career. I've learned how to be a leader, a team player, a diligent worker, as well as time management, all the while having tons of fun. When I was an 8th grader, I was extremely anxious about coming to high school and adjusting to a completely new environment. This class allowed me to immerse myself in the school culture and relationships with all the staff members. Within a couple of weeks, I felt like I belonged to this school because it was an avenue for me to meet new people, and I always knew what was going on.
My name is Madix Debretville. I'm also a junior, and I am one of the 3 editors-in-chief of the Russian Pilot, which, like Carly said, is our school newspaper. I'm also a pitcher. I play for our baseball team. And a little bit of background: before my freshman year, I came to 8th grade pair night. I didn't know what elective I was going to take. I thought maybe, like in the back of my head, journalism. And once I heard the presentation, I was pretty sure I wanted to take the class. And my mom helped convince me to take it. And as a freshman, I made friends with staff members and upperclassmen that I probably would have never met, and made friends with people I'm still in contact with that I never would have known except for having taken the class. I became the sports editor my freshman year and was in that role for 2 years until I became editor-in-chief this year. And that's kind of one of the great things about journalism. Everyone can find their niche. It doesn't have, one of the misconceptions about it is that when taking journalism, I have to be a writer. I have to do that. I just have to write the whole time, and that's just not true, because there's so many things that you can be involved in, whether it's working on the web, designing the InDesign page, which is an Adobe program which we use to make the paper, taking photos, And if you like writing, it's perfect because you learn to write in another format. And Mr. Busky is a great teacher and does a great job of teaching how to write that way. Like most in our class, I found that I was among a mix of kids that I wouldn't be with except for the class, and making friends with people I never would have known. It provides a place to become a better writer, but also be involved in something genuinely rewarding. My first year, I was really into the class, but I wasn't staying after class to work on the paper. And last school year when I was a sophomore, I and a few others routinely stayed after class to work on the paper, and that just made the class so much more rewarding for me because I was seeing the products of my work in the paper coming out, and I see it on people's desks. I was like, oh, I was here last night working on that, and it felt really good to see that in person. Just as kind of like a bonus, like Mr. Busky is one of the most personable, caring, and kind people I've met and on campus, and he's become one of the most influential people at campus for me. And I just like to say, if you're willing to work and you feel like journalism could be for you, if you're just looking for a place to kind of like find your niche, I hope you take the chance to take the class.
Thank you so much.
Now you may be wondering, what exactly is journalism? The journalism class runs the newspaper, The Brush and Palette, as well as the website lbhsnews.com. Our job is to figure out everything that is going on around campus and then write articles based on our findings. We spend our time conducting interviews, writing the article, and then working with our design program, InDesign, in order to print the articles and then distribute them to the rest of campus. In addition to the physical paper, the articles are also posted on our website, lbhsnews.com. This gives you a digital footprint, meaning when anyone Googles your name, they will see all the amazing work that was completed in this class. A digital footprint is imperative to have during this day and age because future colleges and employers will Google your name. The biggest misconception about journalism is that you have to be in love with writing in order to find joy in the class, which I'm here to tell you is absolutely not true. There are many different avenues you could take. For example, you can become one of our photographers, graphic designers, photo editors, or you can manage all of our social media accounts. Although writing is a big part of the class, you get to choose what to write about, so it's not a burden. We've had many students in the past, like Madix, that like sports and find a love for sports journalism. We've had many student activists that use the journalism platform in order to inspire change in our school community. The possibilities that come from the journalism class are endless.
Perfect. Thank you so much, you guys. As I talked about, they have 7 publications. You can visit their site to see their work. You learn basics of journalistic photography. You can grow into leadership positions, and then you have access to professionals in industry through visits, involvements, as well as our summer workshops. Within our visual and performing arts, please reference that video as I have discussed several times throughout this presentation. If you have questions regarding specific programs, you can email counselors, or you can connect with our department chair, Mr. Whitcop, directly. We're all here to answer your questions. Turning it over now to athletics, this is the last piece that we have to that registration puzzle, where we know a lot of students, historically about 3/4 of our student population go out for high school athletics. And to talk about the process to getting your students cleared, as well as the tryout process, I'd like to hand it over to our athletic director, Mr. Lance Neal.
Thank you, Ms. Pilon. Can we go to the next slide, please?
Absolutely.
Thank you. I'd like to welcome you. And one of the things going through this tonight and listening, I really appreciate all the students' perspective, telling you guys that, hey, get out and do a bunch of things. You find your way as a part of your way through high school. And personally, myself, I see too many kids coming in who are focused on, hey, I'm just going to do this and this is what I do. And they miss a lot of the opportunities out there. Like a lot of our students have shared, I would strongly suggest anybody coming into high school participate in at least 2 sports their freshman year, even give 3 a try. You've heard the students, as you get older, your scope becomes more narrow, and you have very small period of time at the start to kind of see what's out there. George Saba talked earlier. George was a lacrosse player for 2 years who's now gone to golf. Your interest and your abilities change as you go through high school. So please listen to these students and jump out there and do a lot of things. You've heard a lot of students who athletics was what they kind of started in, and then they transitioned into other areas. And then there's a lot of stories of athletes becoming more and more focused. The big thing is we had a cross country runner tell us that at the start. There's a lot of time involved. Sports practices are generally 2 hours every day after school. Game days can be 3 or 4 hours long. So on the start of my slide up here, we are tentatively planning on June 11th to run tryouts for all of our sports between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. We will have a schedule out on that later this year. If you're playing multiple sports, we will make sure those tryouts are different times. So conceivably, it would be very simple for someone on that day to try out for 3 different sports. They may be a little tired at the end of the day, but we'll have that worked out. And we will have a schedule out on that, like I said, later in the year. To participate in sports, you need to be cleared an athletic physical, and then there's a checklist of several other things. You can find all that information on our webpage. You get cleared at athleticclearance.com, but if you go to our website, it will have the forms, the physical form, the other things you need to be able to get that taken care of. It's not hard to stay academically eligible. You need to pass 4 classes and have a 2.0 grade point average. We honestly, we deal with very little eligibility issues here at the high school. Our student athletes are good students, and we don't, the minimum requirements isn't something we deal with very often. We will ideally have summer camps this year. That information will be coming out quickly. And like some of our other students and adults have said, feel free to give me a email. I'm in the office most days from about 11 to 6 right now. We have sports practices going on in the afternoon. Feel free to give me a call here. And just, I know some of you are out there and you hear rumors sometimes. I can say, honestly, in the sports practices we've been running, we have not had a single case of a spread of COVID. Our student athletes and our coaches have been very diligent following guidelines, and we are hoping to get sports up and going here. So I appreciate you guys being here tonight. And again, feel free to reach out to me with any questions you have. lneal@lbusd.org. I'm in the office every day. Thank you.
You're there right now. I see your background. Thank you very much, Mr. Neal.
You got it.
I'm not sure if our PTA president was able to log in. Mrs. Rosa, is Jimmy Azadian with us? So
I did not
on
see
that
him
note,
join.
okay, no worries. On that note, we want to encourage you to get involved. PTA is a great way to do so. We also have athletic boosters. We have graduation committees, performing arts boosters, school power fundraisers, and although Jimmy is not with us tonight, you will absolutely be hearing from him. He is a great leader. He has tons of energy. He is incredibly engaged. We are so grateful to have him within the role of president within our PTA. And you can visit the website to find out further information as well as to join PTA. So with that, we have Breaker Day, and this is the day that our students come onto campus. They are turning in paperwork. Historically, they are getting their textbooks, and they are finalizing everything they need for that first day of school. Proposed dates are going to be the 12th of August or the 13th of August. Students, as I had said, will take their pictures, turn in their data confirmation. You'll receive packets with information outlining the processes parents will need to follow in order to complete everything that we need for that day. And then counselors are available on that day to answer any questions. And it is a nice kickoff to our school year. School begins next year on Monday, August 23rd. Fall sports are slated to run August 2nd through November 12th. That's an approximate date. And then remember that many of our sports have optional summer camps. If you have questions or concerns, we want to be here to answer those for you. Please feel free to reach out to us. sign up for those optional counselor check-ins. That's a great way for us to have an individual conversation with you students, to answer specifics that you may have. And then all of our staff are ready and willing to answer questions to make your transition as seamless as possible. We are so grateful for you sticking with us through this hour-plus presentation, and we can't wait to welcome you onto our campus next fall. And I'd like to officially welcome you to the Breaker family, and we can't wait to work with you guys over the next 4 years. That will do it for us for this evening, and thank you very much for joining us.